You do that to Hinkle?
You know, I only get to do that every once in a while, so. But anyway, we do have a busy schedule tonight, and I want to try to get started on time. So welcome, everyone. It is 6 PM, May the 1st, 2023, and it is time to call the city council meeting to order. Ms. Rhodes, roll call, please.
Mr. Austin,
Present.
Mr. Hugen,
Here.
Ms. McGinnis,
Here.
Ms. Nally,
Here.
Ms. Price.
Ms. Price is present. She will be in the room when decisions are made.
Okay. Mr. Price,
Here.
Mr. Taylor.
Here.
Sir, you have the floor.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Brian Reese, would you please lead us in prayer and pledge?
All right, I invite you to join me. Our Father, we come to you this evening, and we thank you again for another day of life. As we gather together in this hall tonight, I just want to thank you first for our first responders. As we just celebrate the promotions and the swearings in tonight, I pray that you just bless those who are serving our community in these ways as they're stepping in to serve and protect those of us who live in this great community. We thank you for them and their families. Bless this night and bless them as they continue and begin their careers. I pray you be with the rest of the items on the agenda. Give our council wisdom and discernment for the decisions that they make, and I pray they would be best for this community, and I trust that you'll continue to lead and guide those who you've placed in these positions and allowed to serve in this way. We'll give you the thanks and praise for all of it. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Let's stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated.
Okay, again, thank everyone for coming. I wish we could have meetings like this every time we have a city council meeting, but it's usually just a handful, sometimes just less tabling sitting back here. So, anyway, thank you all for being here. I will say that we do have a busy schedule again, and we're going to start off with announcements, presentations, and public comment. And the very first one is going to be a promotion of Cole McKnight to a merit lieutenant. And I'm going to do that swearing-in ceremony alongside Fire Chief Joshua Snyder. You notice everybody gets nervous. They want to get out of the picture. Here, Cole, come right over here in front of the. So I'm going to help you. Raise your right hand, please. I, Cole McKnight,
I, Cole McKnight,
have been promoted to the office of lieutenant
have been promoted to the office of lieutenant
in the City of Franklin Fire Department.
in the City of Franklin Fire Department.
I swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
I swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and the rules and regulations of the Fire Department.
and the rules and regulations of the Fire Department.
I swear that I will obey all lawful orders
I swear I will obey all lawful orders
of my superior officers
of my superior officers
and faithfully discharge the duties
and faithfully discharge the duties
of said office to the best of my ability.
of said office to the best of my ability.
Congratulations, sir. Now, pin that on your hand. I've only seen one officer and one fireman stuck, that's all.
Might have another one here.
Is there any family members that want to get a picture? Feel free while we got the time.
I just want to Cole got pinned with his father's badge. His father's the only firefighter in the city of Franklin that's ever died in the line of duty. So, congratulations, Cole.
You want a picture, ma'am?
Please.
Yes, absolutely. Is this your mother?
It is my mother and my grandmother.
They usually cut me out anyway. Thank you. Appreciate it, sir. Okay, also tonight, we have a couple new police officers. First thing we're gonna swear in will be Landon Carter. And for those of you who probably heard the name, Landon's father is our street commander. So raise your right hand, sir. I, Landon Carter,
I, Landon Carter,
a member of the Franklin, Indiana Police Department,
member of the Franklin, Indiana Police
do
Department,
solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and that I will faithfully discharge all of my official duties.
and I will faithfully discharge all my official duties.
Thank you, sir. Welcome to the team.
I got nothing to do with that night. I was on the golf course this night at the NFL draft. It was about 8:15 or while, we didn't know what was going on. I got my phone out. I said, "All right, Mom." So, oh, that's They go good. I said, "That's my second one today."
You're right, you run roll.
Good job. Okay, next,
And I felt like I came on too strong today.
our next new officer, Timothy Hadley. I want this big guy on my side.
He is big.
Raise your right hand. I, Timothy Hadley,
I, Timothy Hadley,
a member of the Franklin, Indiana Police Department,
member of the Franklin, Indiana Police
do
Department,
solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
do solemnly swear to support the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and that I will faithfully discharge all of my official duties.
and I will faithfully discharge all of my official duties.
Welcome to the team.
Left tackle. What they needed.
With your wife.
I think it was one team that drafted something like 6'6", 310 pounds. I'm like, oh my God.
Did you see something? We either went boom or bust. We definitely got more athletic. Be interesting to see what they do.
Yeah.
He's big as a linebacker. And faster.
They need him to work out, but have another 1 in 14, 1 in 16 years, so I get the number one pick next year. Some big guys.
Okay, we have a few more awards. If everybody wants to stay, it'd be appreciated, but if you need to leave for this one, you can leave. Good, everybody's staying. So the next one is to present the annual Preservation Month Award winners to the Common Council for the recognition of the exterior and interior work these individuals and businesses have contributed to our community. Franklin Heritage Incorporated, Rob Schultz.
They were gonna give you an award for
Right,
your
so
yard.
we have not done these awards since 2019. COVID kind of slipped in there and messed a lot of things up. So we are making up for it with these awards. But the whole idea of this is rewarding people for really working on their houses, fixing them, making their neighborhoods and their streets that much more impressive. That's what makes Franklin great. So I have the great honor of presenting, go ahead, bring it up here, Glenn. So this one actually goes to the city of Franklin for the drivehubler.com amphitheater.
Wow. That's So is Chip here, Krista? Are you guys still here? I see Krista. Is Chip here?
Chip took off. Too many
If
people.
anybody has anything to do with the Parks Department, please come on in. Because without the Parks Department, these great people that work here, this is not about me. This is about our team that work together, the people in this room. We have a very strong community that everybody volunteers, works together, and just proud of us, so. This is a surprise, by the way. Thank you.
Congratulations. All right, our next award winner is for the best adaptive reuse of an existing historic structure. And that's gonna go to Pat Hagan for 10 Pins Bowling. I don't know, Pat, daughter, people that bowl. The next award is the best renovation project of an existing historic structure, and that is gonna go to the Franklin Development Corporation for their wonderful work on 548 West King Street. And I see a lead.
You're on the other side, Lisa.
So the whole idea of this is a combination of Franklin Heritage and the Franklin Development Corporation and going ahead and fixing the worst house in the neighborhood. And they have done a wonderful job. You can see the photos. If you would see the before photos, you might go, ooh. Talk about that later. So, let's get this. Awesome. Nicely done. Thanks, Rob.
So real quick, I just have to tell you guys.
Yes, you go ahead.
So real quick, I just want to talk about these projects right here. These are homes that's been sitting vacant for 15+ years. Nobody's paying taxes. The city of Franklin is mowing their yards and paying for it. So how do we bring these back? And I have a lot of constituents ask us, how do you bring neighborhoods back? What are you gonna do about these houses that are vacant? This is what we're trying to do. And it takes a lot of money to do that. So we can only do them one at a time, sell a house, and try to get enough money to carry that through. So you can see what it's done there. Go to Hurricane Street, there's a project there that's really awesome. This gal right here is the one that she coordinates all this and gets contractors. So I know we got a busy schedule, I'll shut up. Thank you guys.
All right, the next one is for the best new addition to an existing historic structure, and that goes to Mike and Donna Wood. Standing in for them to accept this prize.
Mike and Don are in Destin this week, so on behalf of them, Mike's my brother-in-law, again, Donna's Terry's sister. We gladly accept the award for them.
Thank you. right, the next one, this is an unusual award for us, but I can see more of this coming to fruition here in the next couple of years. Best continued use of an existing historic structure, although this structure was moved because otherwise it would have been demolished. Is Julie Wells here for us? There she is. This is one of those that it went right down to the wire, and I mean like the electrical wires and all of that. And we made it around the corner, and we had to cut some tree limbs, but we made it, and it looks perfectly at home there. So thank you so much for working with Franklin Heritage on this. Give it a big round of applause. All right. And now this is one of my favorite awards. It's called the Little Charmer, which means it's got all its original windows, its doors, its clapboard siding and stuff. In this case, it doesn't have clapboard siding because it's a beautiful little brick house. It's a little shotgun house on Yandy Street. So Terry and Pat George, come on up. You guys did such a great job on bringing this back, and that little pocket there on Yandy Street just gets better all the time with you and Greg Q. So keep up the good work. There you go.
And we're gonna fix Yandy someday.
And then the last award is called the Natural Beauty. This one is located on the corner, and it's always been kind of meh. And Karen Lucky came in, and not only the interior, but the exterior. And she is so good at what she does, and the colors and everything. And so she made this thing stand out. So this is the Natural Beauty Award to our Natural Beauty Karen. So that's it, but you're gonna be seeing a lot more from Franklin Heritage, as we go forward. This is the 40th anniversary of Franklin Heritage founding. And so more and more stuff you'll be seeing with the Franklin Heritage label out into the various neighborhoods. So again, thank you so much for letting us do this. Thank you.
So, last but definitely not least, we have every year, there's an award given away to the volunteer of the year. And we put out applications and have people that send in names and who do you think? And I do not have anything to do with who submitted, who was chosen, none of that. I don't know who does that, so. Anyway, so this evening it is my honor to announce our 2023 Marty and Carolyn Williams Volunteer of the Year Award. This award is named after a Franklin couple for their exemplary commitment of time, energy, and efforts devoted to our Franklin community. Oftentimes, these efforts are quietly accomplished behind the scenes and go unnoticed. The creation of this award is to ensure that those individuals working tirelessly to better our city are recognized. At this time, I'm happy to introduce Carolyn Williams. I think Carolyn's here.
There she is.
Right there. So Carolyn, please come forward as you are. Good seeing you. So, please join me in thanking Carolyn for all that she has done, for all these countless, continues to do for the city of Franklin. The volunteers make the world a better place, and we are as fortunate to have an amazing network of volunteers here in Franklin. On our application, we have a question asking, what are the 3 words best describe a volunteer? year's winner was creative, energetic, and dependable. This year's award winner worked to make our city better for all residents by volunteering for Franklin Heritage in many capacities. She has served on the board for almost 20 years and served several other organizations within our community. She is in charge of decorating for the Art Craft Sponsorship Party, the 100 celebration, the garden walk, and leading volunteers and committees. Additionally, she is instrumental in mentoring at-risk youth in the community and providing them a safe place to socially interact. A quote from the nominee form says, "The nominee is a consistent, reliable source of creativity and assistance for the organization as a whole, and this award has shown our appreciation for all you do in our community." Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to present this year's Marty and Carolyn Williams Volunteer of the Year Award to Jill Norris.
Can I say something? I'm not usually short on words. First of all, is my husband here? Is my husband here? I felt like something was weird because my husband has asked me over and over what I was having for dinner tonight. Was I going out to dinner and what was I planning to eat? And I thought that was odd. It was the first hint, but otherwise I had no idea. This is especially meaningful because I'm accepting an award in honor of Carolyn and Marty. We're dear friends, and I can tell you that I think of Marty often when I volunteer, probably every time I volunteer, because he and Carolyn really set the example of selfless volunteerism. I would also like to say, there's no I in team. I told my kids that growing up, and I've been so fortunate to work with just the best people. I'm looking out at all of you, especially through FHI, Franklin Heritage. I volunteered with some DDF events, and I've just been blessed to work with all of you, and really they've become my dearest friends, and I really do love all of you. And I would also like to say thank you to all of you and the previous people that were sitting here, many of whom are my classmates, friends. I appreciate your service in a world that has problems, the bigger world. I, every single day, feel blessed to live here. And I'm thankful that I get to live in Franklin. I appreciate how all the community organizations work together. I think that's what makes Franklin special. When we did the 100th party, big event, Parks without a thought jumped in, city jumped in to help, the museum jumped in to help, DDF jumped in to help, and it's very much appreciated. And thank you to all of you, because I'm blessed to wake up every day here, call Franklin my home, and I'm very, very appreciative to be here.
So this plaque goes up on the wall over there next to your wall. Blessings here for Jill.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Congrats, Jill. Thank you.
She was amazing. That was clear enough. Oh, my God. High hurdles, sprints, long jump. She was fast.
Okay, now would be the time, if you wanted to go, this would be the time.
Oh, clear out.
You know how to clear a room.
There's nobody here.
So this one, I need to give that to Pat.
Yeah.
I'd rather his daughter come.
Huh?
I'd rather his daughter come. I forget.
I don't know her. I don't know her. Of course I know Pat.
was it? It was good.
Okay. Oh, no, I was just Nobody? Yeah.
Everyone's leaving.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we're going to go ahead and get started. Is there any other announcements, presentations, public comment that someone would like to make before we move on? Hearing none, we will go on to the consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda as written.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we'll go into old business.
Move to read old business by title only.
Second.
Second, and we have a motion and second to read old business by title only. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we'll go to the first item, which is a public hearing. Lago Properties and Dual Tech ERA and tax abatement request, and a public hearing will follow. Community Development Specialist Dana Monson.
I think we're doing Essex first?
No.
You're not?
No.
Okay. I had it backwards, then let me grab
Yeah.
mine. Okay. Good evening. I am here tonight to bring back to you the project that we initially spoke about at our last meeting, the Lago Properties and Dual Tech project located on Earlywood Drive. At our last meeting, we began the process of doing the economic revitalization area. If you will recall, you voted to approve the declaratory for that motion, and you set the hearing for tonight for the public hearing. So as the first part of this process for this tax abatement, we do need to have a public hearing and a confirmation vote on the economic revitalization area.
So the public hearing is for the ERA. So at this point, we will open up public hearing for any questions. Anybody have any questions for Dana or Mr. Lago? I'd love to get Mr. Lago on the hot seat. but- Nobody has any questions, so we're going to close the public hearing. Now,
And this request is for the confirmatory regulation, or
Correct.
the confirmatory resolution to be adopted designating this as an ERA. And then we'll have two more requests in front of us.
Correct.
Personal property tax abatement, real property tax abatement.
Correct.
Correct? Okay. We all have a game plan down.
Okay.
So any questions for Dana? If not, we need a motion to approve or deny.
Motion to approve resolution 2023-09.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second to approve the ERA. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No, not opposed, just recusing myself from the vote.
Okay.
Let the record reflect that Ms. Price has recused herself because of her business relationship with Mutual Savings Bank and Mr. Lago.
Okay, thank you. And the next part of that is the tax abatement request. And there isn't a public hearing there, but we usually always, even though it's not required by law, we will ask anyone that wants to have a comment about the tax abatement request. We'll have an opportunity to do that in just a second.
Yes, correct. On April 11th, Mr. Jack Lago and Mr. Dustin Huddleston presented a proposed project to the Economic Development Corporation for the city. It consists of constructing a new 70,000 square foot facility, which will house Dual Tech. They will add 11 new jobs and retain 50 employees with an average wage of $26.50 per hour, which is well above the average wage of $21 an hour for the county. At their meeting, the EDC did recommend approval of a 10-year real property abatement on $4,403,000 of investment and a 10-year personal property abatement on $5,267,635. There are no economic development fees on this project. I would at this point like to ask Mr. Dustin Huddleston to come forward. He has a presentation for you about the project, and he can also explain about the economic development fees as well. So, Mr. Huddleston?
Yes.
Thank you, Dana. Mr. Mayor, Council, pleasure to be here tonight.
name's Dustin Huddleston, attorney for the petitioners, which are Dual Tech Inc. and Loggle Properties LLC. With me here tonight is the principal owner of both entities, Jack Loggle. I'm going to tell you about a success story of a local business and the history of it and the reason why we're requesting the tax abatement. The tax abatement requests, I think, should be treated differently than other abatements because of several unique properties for the petitioners. In front of you, as Christus teed up, is the abatement would equal a total almost $10 million investment of the city of Franklin in the creation of 11 new jobs. The past history would treat these abatements differently in that the Loggles have expanded their business over several years, which I'll outline here in a minute, without requesting tax abatements. They're a local company created and maintained by Johnson County residents, and the latest expansion is critical, providing the sustained future for the next generation of this company. And regarding the economic contribution back to the community, they, on their own, are heavily involved in the community about charitable giving, which I'll outline in a minute. We filed these requests on March 31st with your staff. On April 11th, as Dana mentioned, we were in front of the Economic Development Board where we received unanimous recommendation for approval of both abatements for the 10-year schedules for each. And then April 17th, you introduced the resolution that you just approved for the ERA. So let's talk about where the subject property is. On the map in front of you, there's Earlywood Drive with the railroad tracks. The properties that are highlighted in yellow are the past and the origins of the companies. The subject property is outlined in blue on the bottom part, and that's the parcel with the address of 235 Earlywood Drive. It's total of 20.19 acres. You can see on the map that there's a building already started on the north part of that project, just before Dog Lakes to the left. That is not a part of this abatement. The Loggles have already started construction on that project, and that is abatement free. So the increase in tax revenues will be totally realized by the city. And I'll explain about that expansion in a minute. The current assessed value on this parcel is $34,400 annually. So how did we get to this point where they needed to request these abatements? So as I mentioned, I represent the two petitioners. The principal owners of that are Jack and Sandy Loggle, longtime Johnson County residents. There's three entities that comprise of these businesses. First is Loggle Properties LLC, which is one of the applicants. They're the real estate holding company, so they own all the real estate that's involved in the business. Second is Innovative Casting Technologies, which is not part of the applicant, but that's an important component because they're formed in 1998, and that's the supplier of machine components to some of the world's largest companies. Dual Tech Inc., which is another applicant, that is the foundry component of the business. And that supplies and makes the products that Innovative Casting sells. So the growth of companies is outlined in the next few slides if you go down from this page. Started in the early 2000s on Lot 1 and Lot 2, which are in the top left-hand corner of the outline there on the image, is where we acquired both of those parcels in 2001 and 2002. There was 2 buildings constructed, and each was granted with a 10-year real estate tax abatement for each at that time. Then in 2004 and 2006, Lot 1 and Lot 2 were expanded again. Both of those expansions were not coincided with any tax abatements. So those expansions and the increase in the assessed value were fully realized by the city of Franklin. In that same time, in 2004, 2006, if you look in the bottom part of the image in front of you, lots 5, 6, and 7 were purchased by the Loggles on the bottom right-hand corner. In 2008, there was a pivotal point where the city of Franklin stepped in and helped keep this business alive. There was a fire on the Lot 2 that destroyed the foundry that produced this. It was a significant damage, and at that time, the Loggles chose to rebuild the foundry and requested a tax abatement at that time, which this board granted. It was a 10-year real estate and 7-year personal property tax abatement. Without that abatement, this business probably would not have survived, but this city supported that business at that time. And that marks the last time the Lagos asked for a tax abatement in that 2006 period. And again, or 2008 period. And again, that was because of a catastrophic fire. Further expansion happened, and all these expansions were without any request for tax abatements. In 2009, lots 7 and 8, which in the bottom left-hand corner of the image, was purchased for over $1 million and further expanded the business south. In 2013, there was personal property bought for $635,000 with no abatement request. 2016, Lot 8 was expanded by 2,000 square feet at a cost of about $200,000. In 2018, there was a large expansion on Lot 1 of an additional building costing about $500,000. Lot 1 and Lot 2 were combined at that time, as it shows with the image. And then Dual Tech purchased personal property for the foundry totaling $3.5 million in 2018, again with no abatement request. And then later on in the year, Dual Tech purchased another piece of personal property for $400,000 without abatement request. The business kept being successful, so they ran out of room in that slide, so we moved farther south and acquired in 2020. This is where it used to be the John Deere Distribution Center, the sales center, which moved out to 31. The Lagos purchased this property for $1.4 million. They immediately, if anyone's driven by it, rehabbed and updated the building in a $3.35 million cost and expense. And then in 2021 and 2022, separately, they bought equipment to fill that building, each at $1.4 million, all without requesting abatements. And then in 2022, we get to the present date where they crossed Earlywood Drive, purchased this property for $1.3 million, or excuse me, $1 million in the infrastructure, $1.7 million on the construction of the structure that's being built right now. That's going to be a storage facility for the business, and then also $500,000 purchase for equipment. We started out with 23 employees. Now we have 50. We're going to expand, as we mentioned, to 11 more employees. In addition to all this, along International Drive, they helped start a separate business that's a 3D printing business called Innovative 3D Manufacturing that's been highly successful. So again, to recap, since 2008, they haven't asked for any abatements, and since then, they've expanded over 6 times and spent over $17 million, all with the full benefit of the city realizing those expansions. So what are we asking for today? So let's break down with that. We're expanding down past Earlywood Drive to build a new foundry. Project's going to take 2 years to complete. The building start construction in August 2023, complete in probably March of 2024. The equipment will be purchased in April 2024 and installed and completed in November in 2024. The real property abatement is a 10-year request on only the part that the new building is built. So the part that is the warehouse that's already under construction will not be subject to that. The new building would be 70,000 square feet, construction cost of $4.4 million, and again, house the second foundry for the business. The personal property would be the equipment that would be in that second foundry. That totals $5.2 million, and it's state-of-the-art equipment for the second foundry. It'll create 11 new jobs for a wage of average of $27 an hour. So the total investment, again, is $9.6 million with 11 new jobs. Again, to treat these abatements a little bit differently than the norm, they've had the expansion without requesting abatements in the past. They're a local company that is well renowned throughout the world. A lot of national, international companies rely on their products because They build their products with high quality. Their competition is foundries over in China who don't build as well products that tend to fail. So companies looked to the Loggles to produce high-quality components for their products. When they started, there was about 6,000 foundries national. Now there's only about 1,500. So they've survived because they produce high quality. If anyone's ever been to a Colts game and seen that anvil that they hit before the kickoff, they made that because that's who seats out the best, and they built that for the Colts. They want to sustain this for the future. This is a real critical pivoting point for them. They want to use this to be competitive in the market, so a second foundry would allow them to keep with the demand of their highly sought-after product. Now, normally, they have a percentage that goes back to the city that the city can distribute to charities and whatnot. They would like to keep that going on by themselves because they are so active with the community. They've been the major sponsor for Johnson Memorial Health Foundation for mental health awareness for Johnson County for over 5 years. There's an annual gala, and they're the title sponsor for that. I personally know for Franklin Education, who I'm the president of, they're the biggest donor that we have every year. Any of the abatements or any of the warehouses that have been built over on the east side, I've always reached out to those companies, and they never get back to me. Jack gets back to me. He always asks, what do I need? And he writes a check, and he also participates in it. They donate to Franklin College. They've worked with students at Franklin College to pay off their student debt. They're active in the Franklin Community Schools to expand their agricultural program and their buildings. They're involved in youth sports, and they're starting a family endowed fund with Johnson County Community Foundation. So, in other words, they like to do those, continue to do those things, and would respectfully not provide anything back because they've already given back to the community, and they want to continue to give back to the community. So I would make the request to grant both the abatements as presented with the 10-year schedules, and happy to answer any questions you have.
Of course, I don't have any questions for you. I just have a comment. We try at the EDC, Economic Development Commission, my team, the Economic Development team we try to be consistent when we make recommendations. We recommended a 7 and a 5, and that was just because of the dollars in this one particular project. However, I did get up in the EDC meeting and support this just because of what Jack and his family has provided for the city over all the years and did not ask for those tax abatements. I think what Dustin is saying here, that it is a little bit unique and a little bit different, but being the local people that invest in our community, I think it's worth a little something to carry this on down the road. So that's why I supported it. However, I know Sean probably has something he want to say as well.
Yeah, there was some discussion over the 3, 5, 7, because there's lots of different ranges that we can do with the EDC on the tax abatements. And we decided the 10 and 10 was ideal in this situation, a little bit out of the norm for us, just because of what the Loggle family has done for the city of Franklin. It's a local company, and they give back to the city time and time again. So we didn't have any problems with the EDC fees or going with the 10 and 10 on this project alone.
And again, I know that the council knows, and most of the people in the audience knows, when you get a tax abatement, it's not a 10-year, no taxes. It phases in. So yes, they are paying taxes as you go on. It just phases in a little bit more every year. So I always like to make sure people understand that. So at this time, if the council, does council have any questions? We'll open this back up to the public, although we don't have to. We will. If anybody has a question for Dustin or Dana, feel free. Yes, sir.
I don't have any questions. I just have a comment. I've known Jack Longo for many years.
Jane, are you picking that up? Are you able to pick it up? Sir, I am so sorry, but we've got to keep a recording of this, so would you please?
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right. Well, just go to the microphone. We need to make sure we have a recording. And we will not hold it against you that you've known Jack Loggle all those years.
I've known Jack Loggle for many years now, and he's a very Christian man, and he's very generous. He donates a lot, he does a lot, and he's upright. I know Jack and Sandy for many years. Their son Mitch went to school with my granddaughter at the University of Southern Indiana. And when Jack says he'll do something, he'll stick to his word. And I'm just proud to know him. If I was younger, I'd write a book. I knew Jack Loggle. He was starting out.
Sir, would you please state your name? I know your name, but would you put your name on the record?
Yeah,
So
I'm Bill
Jane-
Harmoning.
Thank you, Bill.
Okay.
Thank you, Bill.
All right.
Anybody else?
Is this in a TIF area?
Yes,
Okay.
it is.
Okay.
So if there isn't any other comment, we'll close the public hearing at this time. And Bob, that was a good question.
Yeah, I mean, it will not have any impact on the general fund, I guess, you know, since it all would go in the TIF anyway, so. So just a clarification there, that's all.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, I think we're ready for action on this one.
Move to approve 2023-10 tax abatement real property.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we will go next resolution, 23-11.
Move to approve 23-11 tax abatement personal property.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Thank you, Jack. Get to work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dustin. Thank you. Okay, now we'll go on to the next item, approval of budgetary ordinance 23-04, appropriating grant funds received from the drug-free Johnson County Police Chief Kirby Cochran.
Not here, and he asked me to.
Okay, sure.
Okay, yeah, this is the grant, right? That,
Correct.
yeah.
They received a grant, we just, if you recall, last meeting, it was brought before you. This meeting, he would like your approval.
Okay, this one here is also a public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience that would want any more clarification or?
And this is from Drug Free Johnson County. We get it every year. And the money's already, I think, been donated. We just have to appropriate it to allow him to spend it.
Okay, public hearing's open, getting ready to close. Public hearing is closed, so now any questions from the council or ready for approval or not?
Move to approve budgetary ordinance 2304.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. We'll go on to the next item, approval of budgetary ordinance 23-03, appropriating the edit economic development income tax funds, City Attorney Lynn Gray.
Thank you, Mayor. You'll recall we introduced this one at the last meeting. We previously have already approved an ordinance authorizing us to accept the edit, the economic development income tax funds that we receive from the county when they pass the edit tax. Now, we need to have a public hearing and take any input that the public might have and then appropriate it so that we may spend it when it comes in. It comes in on a monthly basis, am I correct, Jane? And so we have to do this fairly routinely when it accumulates, and we'll come back to you and appropriate some more. But next year, we'll be able to put it into the budget itself, so.
So at this point, we will open this up for public hearing. Does anyone have any questions? Seeing nobody going to the mic, I will close public hearing. Any questions from the council? Hearing none, we're ready to move forward. If
Move to approve budgetary ordinance 2303.
Second.
we have a motion and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nope, they harmonize well. Yeah, right.
Okay, thank you. That gets us to new business.
Move to read new business by title only.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Didn't hear any. One opposed, so thank you. We'll go on to new business. Essex Furukawa Real property and personal property tax abatement request tabled from the previous meeting. Community Development Specialist Dana Monson. And Dana, to your defense, we did change the agenda before you, that's why it was moved.
I was a little confused.
So
I'm like, my agenda doesn't say that, so.
we did change that, and you didn't get the memo.
Evidently not, it's fine. We're all back on track now, that's what counts. Yes, I'm here before you tonight to present another new project to the city. Essex Furukawa is also located on, they're on Essex Drive, which is right off Earlywood Drive, so very near the property that we were just discussing. They came before us 2 years ago requesting a 7-year personal property abatement on $3 million in new equipment in anticipation of a new project. And that new project has come to fruition. Because they were able to get that first one together, to get the first project completed, it has brought this second expansion. Today, we're going to present this new project to you. They plan to double their facility to over 120,000 square feet. It is currently 68,000 square feet. They're going to be adding new equipment, hiring 15 new employees, and retaining their current 88 employees. They have an average wage of $23 an hour, again, above the county average of $21 an hour. They will invest $30 million in real property and $30 million in personal property. The EDC met on April 11th. They recommended a 10-year real and a 7-year personal. This one does have the EDC fees of 2% for real and 5% for personal. The property is already in an economic revitalization area, so we do not have to do that. Lindsay Hartman is here tonight from the company, and she has a short presentation for you to tell you what's going on with this project.
Are you feeling better, Lindsay?
I am.
Good.
Thank you so much. I apologize so much for pushing this back.
No problem.
Thank you. And thank you, Dan. We have a few slides to go through. I have to apologize. They did not send legal, they sent marketing. So I feel
Then
like I
something
have
will get done. Yeah, okay, very good.
I feel like I have much less details. I just wanted to go through a little bit about Essex Furukawa, who we are, what we do here in Johnson County, and what we're looking to do for the future. So I'm Lindsay Hartman. I'm the Director of Marketing for Essex Furukawa. I live up in Fort Wayne, Indiana. So we have 4 different facilities here in Indiana, one of which is in Franklin. So a little bit about Essex Furukawa. So we, the company itself, this joint venture was founded in 2020, but our history actually goes back to 1896 in Japan. As a company, we make magnet wire. We make the wire that goes into motors, transformers, and generators. It's copper and aluminum wire. And we've been making magnet wire for a very long time. We've been making magnet wire here in Franklin since 1994. As a global entity, our sales are about $2 billion annually. We employ a little over 2,000 people. Thank you. So our global footprint, we do have 7 different manufacturing facilities here in North America. And that's really the business unit that I work for and what we're focused on here today. 4 of them are in Indiana. And then our Franklin, Tennessee, or Franklin, Indiana facility, we do have 2 Franklins, why I call it Johnson County very often, is really focused on the automotive market, and that's what we're looking to expand over the next 7 years. So if we go to our next slide, thanks. We are a vertically integrated company, so we make all of our own copper rod and our own enamels. And this allows us to respond to the market a little bit quicker. It allows us to innovate new products and to grow with the growing EV companies. We make custom products that fit individual companies' needs. So as innovation hits this industry, as they design new cars and new engines, new modes of transportation, we're able to adjust with that as quickly as our customers do. And that's what we're doing here in Johnson County. This facility is really our automotive center of excellence. You can see some of the products that we make on the next slide. They go into traction motors, alternators, starters. We make a lot of different types of wire. It is all copper wire, but essentially it's doing different things to help with improved efficiency in cars and in motors that you use every day in your home. So this facility is really important to our sustainability initiative. Perfect, thank you. Growing not just for growth's sake, but growing responsibly, making sure that we focus on zero waste to landfill, on things that will help us not just be, a profitable company, but a company for the future, a company that gives back to the communities in which we operate. and that we're growing sustainably and responsibly for those we leave behind us. So the next slide, there we go, is going to be focused on this specific project. Right now, we are planning to invest $60 million in our Franklin facility. We're adding new equipment to make additional wire, so new machinery, but also updating our lab and testing facilities, improving our maintenance shop, expanding our employee lounge and our parking lots, making sure that we give back to the employees who are really delivering for our customers. We have a great facility here, and they do wonderful work. They are consistently recognized for their quality and for the incredible work that they do. We want to make sure that they have the best equipment and support that we can provide for them. So as we see in the last slide, the EV market is growing substantially in North America. I think everybody's heard about it. And to help meet that demand, this is Essex Furukawa, U.S. cumulative CapEx spending is looking to triple over the next 7 years. So we're going to continue investing, and we're working with the Department of Energy to make sure that we can invest here in the U.S. And this facility specifically is poised for us to continue to grow. We are on 41 acres. We have a lot of room, and we're ready to keep expanding this facility so that we can meet the needs of our customers.
Thank you for that. This is introduction only. However, she's here in front of us. If you have any questions,
Sir, we can vote on this tonight.
It wasn't introduced last time, we tabled it.
It was,
It was
but this
tabled.
is just a resolution. There's no ERA.
There's no ERA required?
No, there's no ERA requirement. The ERA has already been.
Oh, has it been? Okay, I should have
correct.
caught that then in the staff report. Okay.
okay. So any questions? We
I
can.
don't have a question, I have a comment. I might have been on one of these commissions back in the time they came down from Fort Wayne, because I was appointed by Mayor Eddie Teets. And I remember touring your facility, and the thing that struck me was that you can't have power down for except a micro of a second, not even hardly that. And so there were special electricity provisions made. But anyway, you folks have been rock solid ever since that point.
Thank you. And we are working with the utilities on expanding our utility system now, because you're right. Any downtime, anytime a machine goes down, it is difficult.
Screws it up, doesn't it?
Yes, they run 24/7. It is not an easy job to fill for people who have to work nights and weekends, but we have a really great team there, and they do phenomenal work. Thank you.
Yeah, been good jobs, yeah.
I say that was one of the things, they do provide a lot of good jobs for our citizens, and they've been with us for almost 30 years in the city, so this was a no-brainer for us, and when they're going to expand in the city.
And I was 14 when I was on that commission, so,
Bob, this is recording. This is on.
all right, so I lied.
Dana, is the request, because I did read this, believe it or not, and I can read.
You always read this.
I know, I did read.
Always.
Is the request for 10 and 7?
Correct. 10
Okay.
years for the real and 7 years for the personal property.
The first part of the
That is what we
memo is what?
recommended from our office.
Correct.
And
Yes,
then
sir.
the EDC vetted through that.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Because the first line on the staff request for 10-year tax abatement on 30 in real and 10 in personal property.
The original request from the company was for 10 and 10. The Economic Development Commission is recommending a 10 and 7, primarily due to the way that some of this equipment depreciates and the quickness that some of this depreciates. It was more appropriate for a 7-year.
Okay, and that's what they're here asking for today.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
And just to clarify, you heard me just the one previous that we had talked about a little bit different, and it is different because Essex does have a tax abatement currently.
Yes,
So
sir.
that's why we're back with the 10 and 7, that makes sense with the investment. Just wanted to clarify that.
Yes, sir.
So, there is no public hearing required. However, we just did it for the last one. We'll do that again. If somebody has any questions for these fine ladies, feel free. Public hearing's open. Nobody's moving. Public hearing is closed. So I think now we're ready for action with the council.
Okay, my bad.
Move to approve Resolution 2023-06.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. 23-06 is approved.
Move to approve 2023-07.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for Resolution 23-07. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, it's approved. Thank you very much
you.
for coming with the presentation.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay, that will get us on to the next item. Approval of ordinance 2023-03, rezoning to be known as King Bridge PUD 2023. This is introduction only tonight. Senior Planner Joanna Tennell.
Good evening. As the mayor has mentioned, this is an introduction only. I did want to give a brief overview. Kingsbridge is a PUD that was before Plan Commission and City Council in 2021. Property is approximately 150 acres on the west side of US 31, immediately south of Knollwood Farms. In 2021, Kingsbridge, Platinum Properties, and Lennar came before both Plan Commission and City Council. If you go back to those, there you go, just that'll work. And provided some examples of what the homes would look like. In the actual PUD document itself, there's a section that refers to the residential standards that are outlined in our zoning ordinance. That section of our zoning ordinance is actually specifically oriented to the downtown area, the residential traditional neighborhood. It speaks to all the structures have to have the front facade be provided 50%. Porches, a minimum of 6 feet deep. The garages are required to be set back from the front facade 10 feet, which is more geared to what a downtown looks like. It was one of those things that when we started in the process of actually looking at the homes, it came to our attention through Lennar and Platinum Properties that, that wasn't really cohesive with what the development was intended to do. The request is only for modifying and clarifying the architectural standards of the single-family residential portion. It's not changing the layout, the number of homes, anything to do with the multifamily or the commercial. It is strictly limited to the architectural standards on the garage location, not having a setback requirement from the front facade. And then also, in regard to the porches, there's a slight modification that if the porch requirement of 50%, the facade, minimum of 4 feet in depth is not met, then they're required to have a minimum of 3 different architectural materials on that facade. The important thing to note is this modification that is being proposed is consistent with what was provided originally at Plan Commission and City Council. Dustin Huddleston is here representing Platinum Properties. Should you have any quick questions, public hearing is set for May 15th, which he will have a full presentation at that time.
And I wanted to point out for those of you who don't go monthly to the Plan Commission meetings, when there's a PUD, remember, the developer comes in with the standards and presents those standards. That's what goes through Plan Commission, that goes through the tech. And we probably, if we would have caught it, if what they presented is this is exactly what they presented, but the way the wording was in the PUD, it used our ordinance, which doesn't apply. So this is really more form change than content. Everybody who's vetted these things, including the public hearings, saw these exact same pictures. So that's not changed in the least. So that's why you probably don't see a lot of people here tonight.
And Lennar did provide staff a number of their different elevations and different structures and proposals where we went through an actual large Excel document looking at what was in all of their different models in order to establish the language and get to where we are. So just for consistency's sake, this was heard at the April 18th Plan Commission meeting. It was forwarded with a favorable recommendation to City Council by unanimous vote of 9-0. And as mentioned, it is docketed for public hearing on May 15th.
Okay, so want to wait till May 15th. If you have any questions, wait a couple weeks and think up a list of them. Thank you, Joanna.
Thank you.
Okay, that was introduction only, so we'll go on to,
Mayor, may I just bring a point of clarification
do.
while we're here on the Essex? It is in your resolution that you passed, that you proposed, there was a 2% economic development fee. But I wanted to call that to your attention because you approved the resolution as presented, but we didn't mention the 2% economic development fee. And the petitioner is aware of that, correct? And you, okay, and that was part of the resolution as
Yes,
presented
ma'am.
to council?
And there's also a 5% on the personal property one.
Okay.
So it's a 2% and a 5%.
It's in the resolution that you approved and you adopted, but we didn't talk about it. So I just want to make sure it's part of the, before the petitioner leaves, it's part, she knows that's part of the motion that you passed. Okay, thank you.
thank you. So the next one, we'll go on to other business, and it is the 2022 Redevelopment Commission Annual Report. Krista Linky.
Thank you, Krista Linky, Community Development Director, and I have before you the 2022 Redevelopment Commission Report. This is something that Jane files every year with through the Gateway system. This is a reporting of all of the revenue received, all of the expenditures. We have two different TIF districts. One is the integrated I-65 TIF district, and then we also have the US 31 TIF district. So this lists all of the expenditures and revenues for both of those TIF districts. Our bond payments are in there. Each of those districts has a bond that we are in repayment on. I went ahead and included for you this time just our latest financial report, so you could not only see last year's receipts and revenues, but also where we are at so far and what projects have been approved for this year through the Redevelopment Commission. So this is our monthly report. The next one is the US 31 TIF district. So that is the smaller of the two. And then the final report that I went ahead and included is our cash flow analysis. So that shows you projects that are approved for this year, but then all the way planning through 2027. And I know it's been a long meeting tonight, so I will not elaborate any further, but I am happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Krista, do you have another presentation down the road that goes to other taxing entities on the TIF dollars?
Yeah, that's a separate requirement. Jeff Peters with Peters Municipal will put together that tax impact analysis to the other taxing entities. That will be presented to the Redevelopment Commission and then also to you as well. We invite all of those taxing entities to both of those meetings, so they have an opportunity to attend that presentation. Either of those times is the same presentation, but it's done twice, one in the morning and then one in the evening. So they have plenty of opportunity to attend and hear that. And that's usually done in June or July.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any questions? I'm not hearing any questions.
Okay.
Thank you, Krista.
Thank you.
Good
Keep
job.
up the good work, Krista.
Okay, that gets us to the council member comments, and it has been you know what, we got a lot of stuff done in an hour and 9 minutes, 8 minutes, whatever that is. So Josh, you got any comment?
No comments tonight.
Ann?
No comments, thank you.
Ken?
Nothing.
Sean?
Everybody get out and vote tomorrow.
Bob?
Already did.
Irene?
No, thank you.
Jennifer?
No, thank you.
Jane? Tara? Lynn?
No, sir?
And I don't have anything else to say, so need a
Move
motion
to adjourn.
Was I
Second.
even there?
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
I don't even know if I was there.
Got one.